How are you guys doing? Listen, today is a very special day. I'm standing on sacred grounds. I'm at the Alabama State University, right? This is my university. This is where I graduated from. And today, me and Q have the honor of interviewing the #1 president, right? The #1 university president in America, right? Right now, I just want to take the time to open up the floor to President Ross. I just want to give you an introduction. Tell the audience who you are, little background about, your vocation, how you got to this point, and then we want to get into your story.
Sure. Well, listen, first of all, I want to say welcome. Welcome home.
Yes, sir.
There's no place like home at the Alabama State University. And I'm, as you said, I'm Quentin T. Ross Jr., the 15th president of the Alabama State University. I, like you, feel like it's the greatest university in the world.
Yes, sir.
But I'm the 15th president, and I'm blessed. I'm the only president of 15 of this historic institution that bears the title of being student body president. So when I look at my journey to the presidency, the trajectory has been one of a interesting route. I was here at Alabama State University. I started out as a freshman class senator. So, those who went to school and have student government,
yes, sir, yes,
right?
Sir.
I decided to, right, exactly. Yes, and so I decided to, tip my hat at being a part of the student government. After I talked to Coach Markham and figured out I wasn't going to play football, I said, well, let me do something different. We always used to laugh before he passed. It was a going joke that he didn't make a football player. He made a president, because I went on. So SGA, student government senator, and then I went on to become SGA president for the entire school. But I always tell people that I went from being a senator at Alabama State University to one of 7 African American state senators in the state of Alabama. I went from being SGA president at Alabama State University to being its 15th president. And all that I experienced here at Alabama State University, yes, prepared me for each one of those roles. So I am just truly blessed and honored to be president of Alabama State University. Both my parents graduated from Alabama State. I was born in Mobile.
Okay.
But at 8 months old, they were taken to Michigan. They were recruited as teachers.
Okay.
So my dad is from Opelika, and he passed a couple of years ago, but he too is a graduate of Alabama State University, right? Okay. And so when I growing up in Michigan, I always had this affinity to come back home. My grandparents were in Mobile. And when I got the opportunity, that's what I did. And I never looked back. So, to be ingrained in this community, through being an elected official, but also, a lot of people don't know that my background, is pure education. I was a political science major. I minored in English. And the one thing that my mom would always tell me, I would say, Mom, well, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be, I'm going to do this. And she said she didn't care what I did. She said to make sure you get your teacher certificate, right?
She says about that.
And I did that, right? And I went on to get my master's in secondary English. Okay. And I never looked back, right? So it just tells you that mothers know best, right?
Yes, sir.
And so she knew, and I knew, being a male in the classroom and the way I interacted with students, even, when I did substitute teaching, I did all type of, little odd jobs while I was in school here at Alabama State.
Yes, sir.
And those individuals would, encourage me, because of the impact that I had on a class. But then when I did, get my master's and go into the field doing student teaching, people were like, well, the impact that you have on a class, you can really have on an entire school. So going from, classroom teacher to assistant principal, and, working at a 2-year college, Trenton State Community College as a director of adult education.
Yes, sir.
So I've been on every level. I've worked for, the Alabama Education Association as an advocate for public education, and then plus my service in the state legislature. So, again, my trajectory and arriving here is one that has a mix that most don't have, but it's like the best. It's the best of both worlds, and so we've truly been blessed to be here at Alabama State University.
President Ross, that was a mouthful. I think anybody watching this video, you're overqualified, definitely. But from a objective point of view, it would appear that your time in being here is definitely God sent. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be here. It appears also that from a family perspective, you really bleed old, black, and gold, right?
Yes, sir.
what has ASU, right? What has this university personally contributed to you regarding like your development, right? So we know where you are here now, but let's talk about while you were here at Alabama State University as a student. Talk about how the time here actually contributes to how you actually became who you are today.
Right. And listen, let me preface all of my comments by saying that no path is direct nor easy.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so my path wasn't without its struggles like most people. And so, but being here at Alabama State University, even in the midst of your struggle, you had individuals that were on this campus that kind of poured into you, right? Okay. And so those individuals, coming into contact with individuals on campus, even past presidents, poured into their students. And so that's why I'm so passionate about being president of Alabama State University, because I know what it did before an average young man like me, right? I was just a young man that my parents dropped off with the trunk on campus, and I had to get it. We didn't even have, what many of these students have today, social media, the cell phones. We had none of that. And so we had to get it. We had to really, learn one another, know one another, develop relationships, and relationships are extremely important. And when you come to a college campus, that's where you do your weaning out. That's where you really find out who you are and what you represent. And so, Alabama State, I tell people, between the good Lord and Alabama State University and my parents, it's responsible for all that I have. Wow. And it's because of the people who took an interest early on in me, saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I spoke at a church a few weeks ago, and I focused in on the word poor, right? P-O-U-R. And I mentioned that just a few minutes ago, that people poured into me, even when I didn't know, right? Even when I did, stuff that wasn't becoming of me, people knew. They poured into me. And I used poor because I wanted the young folks to understand that what poor means to me is I prove others ultimately right. Poor, because they saw something in me, and all I have to do is pour. Prove others ultimately right. You understand? So that's my mission every day, right? And there's no perfect person, no perfect situation, but trying to get up every day here at Alabama State University. My mission is to make sure I leave her better than what I found, right? Yes, sir. Because I know. All of the graduates know, those individuals that are affiliated with the university knows what it has done for us. Yes, and so, I can call out names of the Billy Brooks and the Joanne Tallies and individuals who are no longer here with us. Legends. That invested in us. Dr. Ralph Bryson, who's renowned professor, English professor here, was one of the reasons why I went into English, right? Sorry. But then I can go all the way back to high school and talk about Miss Battle, who was a graduate of Alabama A&M University. She's deceased, and Miss Dorothy King, who is still living. They were English instructors, and so they took an interest, and so that has helped me, get to where I am. My parents, really leaning in on me, both of them being educators, and everybody doesn't have the benefit of having both parents. But even in those type of situations, right, everybody thinks that you look, it looks a certain way, but there are always issues in every family, right? Mm-hmm. And so, regardless of what it is, it's not what your issues are. It's how you emerge from them and what you do in order to advance yourself. So I just want to be clear, to your audience, when we talk about growth, when you look at someone, and I always tell the students, I said, don't look at me. I didn't, like this was osmosis. I just popped out in the suit. No, that didn't happen, right?
Develop.
I had to develop. I had to work. I had to grind, right? When you talk about the jobs that I held while I was in college, I mean, can you imagine? I was a pizza deliverer.
Say what?
I delivered pizzas. Wow. Pizza Hut. I worked at Dollar Tree, right? Really? At the Dollar Tree. I worked for UPS. And then when it got too bad, I got with some guys, we sold T-shirts, trying to make it. So, a lot of people, and particularly now in society with social media, with all, it's the microwave, it's pop out. Yeah, I'm going to pop out, I'm famous. Pop out, but it's not that way. It's the grind, right? You get in on that grind, And that's how you make a difference. And then you step back and know that it's all worth having. Right. So anyway, man, I'm sorry.
It's about to get real good.
real deep.
Everything. So let's go ahead.
But yes, sir. But throughout all of that, all the grit, the passion, the perseverance, how did you accomplish your goals while you were in school? Because you gave us a mouthful, but I really definitely want to hear the detailed plan of how you accomplished your goals.
Well, listen, staying focused, surrounding myself with individuals that wanted to move in a certain direction. You can get yourself in a situation where you're around people who want to do the same thing over and over again, the same way every day. But surrounding yourself with individuals that want to move forward, want to see you. I tell people all the time that few people are successful unless a whole lot of people want you to be. Right. So those individuals who you're surrounding yourself want you to be successful, just like you want them to be successful. So I would say that's number one, focusing. The other thing is gravitating toward, those organizations that are going to teach you student government, that are going to teach you leadership skills, that are going to teach you, how to work with groups and varying issues, fraternities. I pledged Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated
got the old black
on this campus. And I tell them black and gold pay the bills, right? So that's what I tell them. But my dad, he pledged Omega on this campus. My brother pledged Omega on this campus. And so, but those organizations help kind of mold you. We always say that men make Omega, Omega does not make men. And so, of course, but getting and being surrounded again by individuals that want to see you be successful, and then kind of locking in. It's easy to get kind of lulled to sleep in terms of having a good time, but you have to know when to cut it off, right?
Yes, sir.
Even now, you have to know when to go in. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so those things, and always having, my mother and father in my ear, or again, going back to those people who, it didn't have to be my mother and father. It had to be, a teacher that you had, the pastor that you had, your grandparents, those individuals, again, they poured, right? Yes, and so it was my job to prove them ultimately right. So that's kind of a guiding star for me. Yeah.
One of the questions I want to ask you is actually a question that I did not expect to ask, but since we're talking about pouring, with this current generation, let's just talk about your current students. Do you believe right now that students are receptive to being poured into how you guys were when you were coming up? If not, what are some challenges or what are some things that you kind of overcame to help your students? Because it's a totally different generation, even when I was here. So as your role as president, what does it look like, as you as a president poured into your current students?
Well, listen, when you come to a college campus, it's a melting pot. So individuals come from all different walks of life, all different type of situations. So you're going to have those students that come, know focus, know what it is that they're supposed to accomplish. And those students pretty much just go about their way. You're going to have those students that really don't know, but still come from a situation where they understand how to be, respectful and to kind of make it through the maze. Then you have those students who come who never have experienced it. They may be coming to escape something, right? I had classmates that I went to college with, they were coming from somewhere to get away from something. And so they're just trying to find their way. And so when you find those students, you find students, they just kind of rough around the edges. Some hadn't had to grow up with being respectful. I grew up saying, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Some, didn't grow up that way. And so when you engage them, you have to meet them where they are.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so that's what I have to do. Sometimes I come down off of being, your pants sagging. I'm coming down off of being President Ross. Like, hey, my man, this is college campus. You got to put them up. Or listen, this is a college campus. The bonnets. What is that?
What are we doing?
On campus, right?
Yes,
and so meeting them, that's been. And what you see, I tell my students all the time, what you see is what you get with me. Yeah, I'm the president, but I've been where you are. But listen, let me help you get where you need to be, right? By being real with them. And just having straight up conversation, because if I'm just going to just pat you on the back and pat you by knowing that you're not doing the right thing, then I'm not doing my job, right? As president or nobody on this campus that's supposed to be educating you, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. This is a learning laboratory on our campuses. And so we have to take advantage of teaching, right? And when you walk out off of this campus into the world, you know how to deal with the world, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
all right, Grow Family. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back to talk more about the great Alabama State University. See you guys in a minute. All right, Grow Fam, welcome back. President Ross, I know in the beginning of the interview, we're talking about the good, we're talking about the great, giving lessons. But now I kind of want to talk about the ugly, right? I want to talk about, what are some things that you actually went through while president or before you became president to get you where you are now? What are some things that you actually had to overcome or you're still overcoming, that ultimately led you to being the person you are today? Let's talk about, the trials and tribulations.
Well, listen, and life is full of those trials and tribulations, but even specifically speaking to the presidency,
yes, sir.
Coming into the presidency when the school was under such turmoil, and then having to gain the trust, never having been a president before.
Yes, sir.
And of course you always, run into that. Like someone may say, well, Attorney Grimes, you've never been an attorney before. How can you help me? Right? How can you? And so that was a major challenge initially because people will question based on your youth, based on, your experiences, question your ability to lead. And I think anyone who is in a leadership position or aspiring to be in a leadership position faces that, right? Okay. I faced that same type of challenge when I became a state senator. I'll never forget being interviewed by one of the reporters, and they won the election, and they said, but so tell me, what are you going to do? You've never been a senator before. But my retort with them was, you had a first day on the job as well. So you've never been a reporter until you've been a reporter, right? Exactly. And so, those type of challenges, but really when you talk about leading an academic enterprise and individuals whose lives depend on the decisions that you make, that is something that you carry with you every day, day in and day out, let alone holding in your hand, really, the lives of students on your campus for, 12, 14 weeks and then, the next semester. So all of those things present challenges. And so when we came, there was a financial crisis really here at Alabama State University. And I had to work with my CFO and with my leadership team to determine how we were going to get ourselves out of that deficit, right? I mean, we were in such a situation that had they called in some loans or something that we had out there, if we could have possibly closed the doors, right?
But I want to take this moment just to be clear, I really want to take this time to really just congratulate you because a lot of people don't know there have been countless universities all across this country that have failed, especially HBCUs. Yes. So I literally just want to say congratulations. Like a lot of people don't know what go on behind cameras. Yeah. You've literally saved this university.
Yeah, we had to do some belt tightening.
Yes, sir.
So we were committed to that. And also, so what we did was I learned about the first 3 months learned about the HBCU Capital Finance Program in DC. And this is a program in the federal government where HBCUs can apply to get low interest rate loans. But you could go in order to get buildings and things that you need and get a low interest loan. Well, when I went to them, I told them that I was not interested in getting a loan. What I wanted to do was refinance the debt that we already had.
We currently have this first
on campus. And so that was a different perspective because they were looking for me to come and say, well, no, I just want to fix what we have because we had varying rates, right? But what we needed was a low fixed rate. Yes, and so in 3 months, we were able to galvanize the support of our leadership of the Board of Trustees, and go to Washington and be able to refinance the debt that we had on this campus.
Everything's up under one umbrella.
So it was under one umbrella. It was like 48 million. Okay. And so that kind of helped us out, right? Because, you had this, one debt service payment. But then, you talk about challenges. One of the biggest challenges, in this seat as the president was COVID. When I had to sit around this table, and I'll come back to why when we refinanced and we were able to get that refinance it through the HBCU Capital Finance Program, why that's so important. It's related. Okay. When I had to sit around this table, it probably was March 12th.
Okay.
Right? That year that COVID hit, which was what, 2020?
Yeah.
2020.
And I had to sit around this table.
Yes, sir.
With my cabinet. That was one of the hardest decisions that I could make, to have to send students who made their way to Alabama State University from all these different circumstances that they come from,
yes, sir,
and uproot them and send them home. That was one of the hardest decisions that I ever had to make, right? And we were tracking it. I had just come back from speaking to alumni it was in February, just come back from doing a speech in Detroit, right? And after that, it locked down. But we were tracking it on campus because we were had great relationship. I don't know if you know Dr. Ellison out of Tom Ellison out of Birmingham.
Yes, sir. Medical background?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Him and his organization. And so COVID hadn't hit
Montgomery hard like that.
Alabama yet.
Okay.
But when they came in and he had someone from his team, they were watching it on an iPad, right? Because we wanted to be ahead of the game. And so that's why we had healthcare professionals here, had my team, and she was watching it on the pad. And the day after we had that meeting was the day that they had their first case at Maxwell Air Force Base.
And it's in Montgomery.
In Montgomery.
Yep.
And we didn't know what to do, what was going on. And so you talk about a hard decision. That was one of the hardest. We had we had about 4,000 students, right? And you have 2,200 to stay on campus, and we had to get everybody situated and say, hey, look, go home, because you could say, well, you could stay, but then we weren't prepared. Right? Because we didn't know what it was. We didn't know. And so the best thing was for you to get to your place.
How soon? Right? I know we got to go to
the Yeah.
The way you're talking about it casually, but being honest, you were probably one of the most, and not the most proactive presidents from a university and a state doing that, because everybody else kind of took a slow approach until we figured it out. It seemed like you were literally, hey, I don't know what this is, but let's be proactive. Yeah. Let's go ahead and disperse it. Like, you were like that with it.
Yeah, and my team. No, I mean we're talking days. We're talking days, and my team. I mean, listen, we have a video that we did called The Pivot.
Yes, sir.
And it documents, kind of how we handled everything. But it was this team sitting around, and I tell people I gotta have one of the greatest teams in the world. I mean, the people that I work alongside every day.
Yes, sir.
And we were able to navigate it so well. So we got the students out here. But even through that, Grimes, when all of the students were gone.
Yes, sir.
And we were figuring out what happened, or what it was, COVID was, I would still come here every day. And I remember walking out one day and I'm saying, listen, I'm of, some means.
Yes,
and so if I get sick, I can go to the doctor. But then when I looked across the street, right, and I thought about the community that was right across the street, what would they do? And so what happened was I got with Dr. Joyce Lloyd Davis, who was our senior health officer on the campus.
Yes, sir.
We got with the Alabama Department of Health, and they, because I wanted my nurses to know what it was and what to do when they came back, and they got trained in COVID and testing, and just to make a long story short, through that, and setting up a walk up clinic right outside in that parking lot for individuals that lived in the community.
So
we became testing central for the river region. in Montgomery. So a lot of people don't know that. The United States Department of Education recognized us as one of the institutions, because there were some other institutions across the country that were doing some things, and we were even on CBS, but we became testing central. So then with that partnership and with that relationship, we end up becoming vaccination central for this area. So you're talking about vaccinating 1,300 employees at Hyundai. You're talking about vaccinating, 1,200 employees from Montgomery Public School. We had it on our campus where you could not come back to work or school until you were tested. Here. And our team on this campus tested every person. We had an algorithm that we used in order to do random testing. We were less than 2% on this campus through COVID. Matter of fact, we probably one of the only campuses in the country that had a concert outside in our stadium during COVID. But I say that is because it was a difficult time, but you have to rise to the occasion and work together to try to find solutions. So, again, when you talk about, struggles and, you can't ever get through anything by yourself. But if you're collaborative, if you're creating, partnerships and those relationships that I talked about, you can find a path forward. And so Alabama State University, historically, will go down in history as being an institution that stepped up and stepped out during COVID. Yeah.
That's Alabama State University right there.
Yeah.
What you got here?
Outside of, the boots on the ground approach that you did with COVID, what was one of your biggest challenges you've had encountered before you got to ASU and became the president?
Man, listen, serving in the Alabama State Legislature.
I know your brother, the Singleton's still down.
Yeah. Senator Singleton is there. So, we went through that challenge, but those were some of the best days because, also that was a part of development as well. And when you get elected to a position or if you're seeking out a position, the greatest challenge is learning how to navigate and be a part of the process, right? And so after doing that, once you get that process done, that's why I tell people, they say, well, you missed the legislature. Man, I missed the process because when you know the rules and understand the rules, you can apply them and you can be successful. Although it may not look like it, you can be successful, right? And so the legislature, dealing with the legislature and going through some various things, in the legislature, those things happen, but they also strengthen, who I was, and going through relationships, and the foundation. So, listen, I wouldn't trade the experiences for the world. And it was a situation because I would tell people that I got elected as a Democrat. But when I walked down the halls, I shed any titles because I needed to get with people who were going to help me get what I needed for the district that I represented. And so I think that's what people have to understand. And it can be challenging because then you begin to ask yourself, are you questioning, do you have to compromise your principles in order to get, but no, you can stand on your principles and still be able to accomplish something. In the legislative process, I tell them that, listen, you'll never get 100% of what you want unless you're just in control.
Right.
If you get 20, 30, 40 and mess around and get 50%, you're doing well, right? But it's all a part of the process. And people who are not in the process don't understand that, right? So even with just an example, big, beautiful bill, as an HBCU president, that was what they were calling the big, beautiful bill. Yeah, there were some devastating things in there, but I was watching what was happening with HBCUs, and HBCUs came out okay in the big, beautiful bill, right?
Yes, sir.
They came out okay, and that's a part of the process. On the surface, it's a big,
we'll talk about that. A lot of people don't.
Yeah. But anyway, so when you talk about those trials and tribulations, and you learn people, some people for you, some people not, right? And how do you handle that? With your interactions, with your, with your relationships. But, you always have to, what did Michelle Obama say? When they go low, you go high.
Yes, sir.
You always have to take that perspective. And that's, I really wish, in our communities, that's what our young people would do, right? Rather than, taking one another's lives. So it's just a lesson in that.
Conflict resolution, yes, sir.
Yeah, it really is. So, yeah.
Well, we definitely thank you for that, President Ross. We're going to take another quick commercial break. I'll be right back. All right, Growth fam, welcome back. Listen, at this time, we're going to talk about probably the most important thing the entire time we've been here, which is what is going on currently at Alabama State University. Now, I know school is about to start. So President Ross, please take this time to walk the alumni through, walk the incoming and the returning students through. What does this year look like moving forward? What can we expect? Are there any new developments? Is there any new information that people may need to be updated on? Give us the whole rundown about this year going forward for Alabama State University.
Sure. Well, you started it off. Listen, Alabama State University is on the move. We're getting ready for students to come back. Last year we had record enrollment. This year our numbers are projected to be above last year. So we've had incremental growth. I tell people that it all has to be strategic because sometimes you can have a whole lot of students, nowhere to put them. But then also we focused in on making sure that our students aren't walking out saddled with a whole lot of debt. So we focus in on making sure that our students are, that they come, that they're retained,
yes, sir,
that they are able to return,
yes, sir,
and we get them across on that graduation stage, right?
Yes,
so that's been our focus. We've been laser focused on that for the last 8 years, and it's been beneficial. You're talking about a 70% retention rate for students coming back.
Wow.
I mean that's extremely high. Exactly. We moved our graduation rate by 2 percentage points. Of course, we moved up to 30%, and we're tracking to go higher than that.
Yes, sir.
So we're laser focused on student success on the campus, and a part of that. Listen, one of the biggest things that have happened within the last few months is our board of trustees last year approved us the ability to go forth and look for an opportunity to build student apartments on this campus.
Okay.
And listen, several weeks ago, we went to the market, to Wall Street, with our proposal, and to get $91 million to build 2 student apartment complexes on this campus. And listen, Mr. Grimes, Attorney Grimes, when I tell you that we were on Wall Street and we put our project up there, $1 billion worth of investors went up there. All we needed was 91. Right, $1
billion worth of investment on Wall Street.
On Wall Street, and that's not done. Many institutions can't go to the market, right, in order to get money like that. But because of the fiscal responsibility on this campus that we've experienced over the last 8 years, we were able to go to the market and get that money in order to build these student apartments. So that, listen, and we'll have to go by and look at it. I'm telling you, listen. So over on the over behind the stadium,
yes, sir,
we'll have student apartments going up that will have a little mini cafeteria because it's a little ways from the caf here. And then right up on the hill, right, when we ride through campus, right next to the State Forensics building, we'll have brand new student apartments going up there. So we're excited about that growth as we continue to increase our enrollment. And we're guided by our strategic plan that's out there. It can be found on our website, Focus 2030. That's what we're guided by. We're following that. And of course, we function under the guise of Communiversity, which is one of our seven anchors. And that just simply is that we not only do those things for those who love, live, and work at Alabama State University, but we open up to the river region, to the state, to the nation, and literally the world. We've had a volleyball team to go to another country and win.
Baseball team is doing great as well.
The baseball team is doing so we're hitting on all cylinders athletically.
Yes, sir.
Of course, we have everything that's going on with NIL and with the House settlement. So listen, Alabama State University, we were on the forefront with our Vice President of Intercollegiate Sports and Athletic Director, Dr. Jason Cable. Several years ago, we started finding ways to incentivize our athletes. And so we were ready for what was coming. And so you were trying to be proactive in that regard. When you look at our campus, I mean, you see bulldozers and trucks all over because we're making do with what we have. We may not have a lot, but what we have, we're going to make sure that it looks good and it feels good. You know, they don't call us historically black colleges for nothing, you know. So we are making sure that our infrastructure, our campus, is inviting people in. So we just have so many things that are taking place. If you read about Muhammad Ali, he was the first student from Alabama State to be accepted to Juilliard. He's at Juilliard. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and our students are doing phenomenal things. I don't know, you know, we went to Wall Street several years ago with Newberg and Berman. We took our endowment from where it was and put it on Wall Street with Newberger and Berman. It's an organization that's $463 billion organization, right? It has $463 billion worth of assets.
Yes, sir.
It's employee owned. George Walker is the CEO. And we went to Wall Street to meet with him to talk about them handling our portfolio. But more importantly, what I wanted to know is what could you do to help give my students opportunity? And when I said that to them, they went all out. And we've had students to intern on Wall Street with Newberg and Berman. They send a recruiter back all the time to get our students, because I want to give our students that experience. But then also, you're talking about an organization that watches our money daily, right? And so from last year, sometime when we turned our money over to them, you know, our endowment has grown probably about $20 million, right?
What time frame?
Investing in about a year and a half, investing,
wow,
you know, reshaping, dealing with private equities, you know, and that's, you know, what we need to do in order to continue to move the institution forward and be sustainable.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so from our endowment, we're able to provide scholarships for our students, faculty scholarships, and do various things. But we have to be intentional.
Yes, sir.
About how we, you know, use our dollars, what we use them for. And that's what we're doing here at Alabama State University. So we're excited. You know, football season is right around the corner.
It is.
You know, they picked us as third. I tell them that's where we like to be. You know, I don't have to be number one, because we'll get there.
And we showed up last year in basketball. We almost had you.
Listen, you know, so things again. You know, Alabama State is moving forward, and Attorney Grimes. I mean, you were a student here, and you know what it used to be like.
Yes, sir.
You know, when we were in our turbulent times. But the one thing that we've done is, listen, we've turned the tide on what people hear about Alabama State University, and I came in and I was determined to make sure that we were no longer the reality TV or the reality news of the media.
Yes,
and I met with, you know, our local affiliates and individuals like that to listen, we're open for business, but we're in the business of educating and making a positive impact on the campus. And so those things have propelled us forward, not only statewide, but nationally recognized. We partnered with Thurgood Marshall College Fund, who has invested greatly in this institution, in this transformation in various areas on the campus, from student enrollment to financial aid to, you know, all of that. And it's all through partnerships, right? And partnerships are big. I have the privilege of serving as a member of the board of directors for Thurgood Marshall College Fund. Okay. I also sit as chairman of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So I am the chair of the 12-member presidents council. I also am a member of the NC2A board of directors and serve on the NC2A board of directors finance committee as well, right? Knowing that the NC2A is a $13 billion association, yes, but I have a seat at that table. But, you know, when you talk about the likes of Dr. Charles McClellan, who is the SWAC commissioner, you know, all things are kicking on go at Alabama State University. So we're just excited about what the year has to come. Our professors are doing major research. We started an engineering program last year. And so mechanical engineering. So we've started new programs. Yes, we're offering classes, you know, for certification with cannabis. We'll be, I can't announce it now, but we'll be going into a partnership with some people that you all probably know here pretty soon. All of it is about expanding access,
Yes, sir.
And providing opportunities for our scholars on the campus. So, look, I can go on and on about Alabama State, but those of us who love, live, and work at Alabama State and have graduated from Alabama State, we know what it has done for us. And I just want to let people know we're going to be here. We've been here 158 years. We're laying the framework for us to be here another 158. Yes, that's what we're doing.
Yes, sir. And I actually read about the 2030 focus. How do you keep the students, faculty, and alumni engaged in the shaping of the university?
Listen, it's almost like running for office. Right? you have to get out there and listen. I have an open door policy with our student government because that's how it was when I was in college, and they have a responsibility to carry the message and to deal with their constituency through faculty and our faculty senate institutes that we have twice a year. We're communicating. I have a state of the university address that I do at the fall convocation. But we roll all of this out. You all met Ms. Shawnee Creighton, who is our marketing and brand manager, because we want everybody to know, just like you were able to read about Focus 2030. We want everybody to know what Focus 2030 is. Even putting it together, we engage the entire campus and the community and alumni. We're currently the National Alumni Association. They kicking off their national convention in Los Angeles, as we speak, right? So all of that is about the university, where we're going, what we need to do to get there. And so we just try to keep everybody walking and moving in the same direction. But you have to communicate.
Yes, sir.
And you have to be open, and we, open for suggestions as well. Sir.
This was the best interview we've had so far. I'm literally just taken aback with the amount of things you've been able to do in such a short period of time at this university. I'm a proud alumni. I just want to get out of here, tour the campus, because it's a totally different campus than when I was here. But I want to take this time to thank you for talking to our audience, the Growthology audience, and I also just want to thank you for being one of the best presidents in the history of the Alabama State University. And before we get out, we just want to ask you, do you want to leave any words with the Growthology family, any type of advice to people out here right now who want to grow for the better? Is there any last words you have?
Well, first of all, let me say how proud I am of you.
Yes, sir.
And I think that your audience has to understand, your story and where you've come from, right?
Yes,
and so all of it it's a process. You have to stay consistent. You have to be focused. You have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself. And it's good to have mentors and people that can help push you along the way.
Yes, sir.
And so I would just encourage your audience to make sure that they pour.
Yes, sir.
They prove others ultimately right, that they have something great inside of them, and they can do whatever it is that they want to do, but they just have to stay focused, keep their form and the focus. Yep.
All right, Growthology family, we are out. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yep.